Hello, we are Group 9. We consist of Lydia, Christian and Frederik. The overall theme of this project is household appliances, and we have chosen to work within capsule coffee machines. Our design challenge is to come up with a capsule coffee machine design proposal to a household appliance manufacturer who does not yet produce a capsule coffee machine. Our shared persona is a Scandinavian in the age from 20 to 50 years old. Our persona prefers a classic and quality design. The persona is also looking for a design statement and is therefore also willing to pay the premium for that. The coffee machine should be an alternative to filter, instant or a French press coffee. Furthermore, it should fit into an kitchen environment, a modern one. The mood board is trying to communicate this persona. It's a modern household with a busy everyday life, and as one can see, the household pays great attention to their interior design and overall image. The household prioritizes the convenience a capsule coffee machine brings along. Further, we identified the features a capsule coffee machine must have, such as inlet for a capsule, water tank, power source, spill tray, and a simple interface, which are all marked in bold, and around we see some additional features a capsule coffee machine might have. And now a presentation of our individual projects. Lydia will present first, afterwards Christian, and lastly Frederik.
Final and individual presentation is concerning a capsule coffee machine by Ayette. As illustrated in this slide, the concept development process starts with clarifying the project scope, including the before mentioned persona and my brand choice, Ayette. Ayette are designers of a number of practical household appliances in several collections, such as Centrica, Vintage and Party Time. I have chosen to make a design that fits Ayette Vintage Kitchen collections. Example from this collection can be seen in this middle picture. The style is characterized by the feminine form language and 60s expression, coming from these rounded edges and streamlined organic curvatures. Still, the products have a compact design language, which is giving them a robust expression. The style is easy to recognize for these bright beige, green and blue pastel colors with a creamy white baseline, as it can be seen from the other products of the catalog. The material used is primarily hard plastic with a steel look and a shining finish, where some smaller parts are of aluminium or glass. Summed up, this makes the focus and the side result a holistic approach to design with an experience that fits into the collection of Ayette Vintage. To specify what I mean with holistic is that I will not necessarily be using this exact interface, or instead I will be focusing on the overall design to fit into Ayette Vintage. With this defined scope, I began exploring the solution space through brainstorming and sketching. The shown drawings shows the selection of these, since they contain my personal favorites that I have chosen to work on. The highlighted or starred forms are explored further into a concept catalog. This time, the shapes were drawn into concepts, including placement of the essential means to the required functions, such as room for capsules, on and off bottom, water tanks, spill tray, not to forget the space for the required functions. Once again, my personal favorites were further detailed by rendering. The renderings were made to fit the form language of Ayette, with the rounded edges and the green pastel color known from Ayette Vintage catalog. This led to the final concept selection. The concept is chosen on behalf of the atypical placement of the cup, making it stand out from competing products. A coffee maker is most often placed in a corner or at least against a wall, and according to Dan Normann's book, The Designer of Everyday Things, on page 6, the problem with the design of most engineers is that they are too logical. We have to accept human behavior the way it is, not the way we would wish it to be. In other words, the design tries to accommodate the actual use of the coffee maker standing against the wall instead of designing from a technical aspect. Furthermore, the compact look fit with the robust expression of Ayete Vintage. This concept design strives for a straightforward script that matches the persona's fast and busy daily life. In other words, a quick and easy indication of functions so that the capsule coffee machine is easy to use, clean, and has good affordance. This is also supported by Dan Norman, who says, anytime you see signs or labels added to a device, it is an indication of bad design. A simple look should not require instructions. The detailing phase is where the concept is coming to life. The identified materials, colors, and form language from the portfolio of Ayete are used in the detailing of the concept design. This all together make it fits the form language of Ayete. The dimensions were made based on a large to-go cup. This is used since a to-go cup is suitable for shared personas' hectic on-the-go lifestyle. Likewise, the dimensions for the handle and the water tank were measured to fit the size of a hand. This relatively large space left is to fit the black box components as a pump, heating element, and sensors. These black box components are roughly illustrated here. The capsule pop-up mechanism, heating element, pump, and then the placement of the sensors, if there's a capsule and if there's water, or also if the water tray is full. Lastly, I made a physical model currently standing behind me. The model is primarily made out of cardboard. It was a challenge to make the handle on the water tank, but I saw it as a beneficial aspect to unfold to test the spaciousness of this handle, as it was earlier mentioned. The model helped to get a real-life impression, which I could integrate with. This likewise allowed me to get some outside feedback, which was mainly positive, why I'm happy about my result. And I think that it has great potential to be added to Ayete's vintage product.
My design project is a capsule coffee machine designed from the Italian espresso machine brand La Marzocco. The design space is here summed up in the sense of two different mood boards showing the home and lifestyle. Overall, for these two mood boards, convenience and style is what actually sums them up. The lifestyle here is targeted towards a person who works quite a lot and also travels a lot. So the coffee is an accessory, but it's also something that has to be able to be taken on the go and doesn't take up too much work to be made. The home shows typically a newly built area. It's an apartment. It's something that doesn't take up too much work for the person, but it also shows a lot of designer furnitures, and it is something that has been thought about when they chose to decorate your home. What makes a great and nice coffee machine is something that I chose to start the project from. I came up with a list of having a project or product which is easy to clean. It needs the association from the original La Marzocco, which is an industrial design. It needs to have the solid materials which that they are known for. Wood and steel is their typical materials. And the rigid design and quality is something that is being associated with these higher class coffee machines. And then by the end, there is also this thing that I added, which is a satisfying user experience. This is being added up since that the original espresso machines comes with these nice handles, which weighs quite a lot and can feel great in their hand. The ideation phase is here summed up in the sense of my sketches. These sketches shows different kinds of form, handle, water tank placement, and brewing style. La Marzocco comes with a very traditional form language, which has been trying to be adopted into these sketches and kind of making new designs and takes on. The handle adds a very important feature to the machine since that it adds some kind of satisfying experience for the user when they chose to brew the coffee on the machine. The brewing style here is actually a kind of a result from the handle, since that the brewing style can either be from a capsule traditional garage where you will put in the capsule, or I came up with the idea of having a traditional espresso handle where you put in the capsule and then hook it up, and afterwards it will have been pressed a hole into it. To kind of sum up all the experiences from the ideation phase, I chose to create a mock-up model, which gave me some learnings. It learned me that having a front-accessed machine is extremely important, since that it adds up the convenience to the product, and you don't have to move it out from the wall. It also helped to place the water tank, since that having it on the back is not very convenient, and that thing needs to be placed either on the side or the top. The final three concepts shows these thoughts in the sense of having either a water tank placed on the top with a traditional espresso handle, or you have in the upper right corner a handle that actually be pulled down and then we're still using a traditional espresso handle. And in the upper left corner, you will see that there's a traditionally looking espresso machine having the water tank on the side as well, which goes on as well for the upper right corner. The final selected concept is shown here in the sense of a machine which can stand up against the rear wall on a kitchen counter and take up as little space as possible in the width of the kitchen counter instead of in the depth of a kitchen counter. So it actually allows the user to work in front of the machine. But this design, after I consulted some other groups and persons about it, I actually came to the conclusion that the design were too beefy and that the water tank is quite big, so it will result in having old water laying around. This resulted in another final design, which is a more longer model, but yet it's still more sleek in design. This model's purpose is meant to work in the way that it will stand up against the rear wall, and it will take up as little space as possible in the depth of the kitchen counter, and allows the user to actually work in front of the coffee machine. It has the traditional espresso style brewing style with a capsule into the handle, and then its only interface is a single button on the front of the machine. The water tank on the side is meant to actually be easy accessed and has a wooden top to it. Up in the upper left corner, you will be able to see a traditional espresso machine's internal parts having been drawn into this Lamasoko coffee capsule machine. This shows that there is actually a feasible design to be done here. Overall, the final design is shown here. I chose to model it in the sense of a physical model, which allows to illustrate the importance of materials and the weight of a good handle. Here you will see that there is the contrast from the wood to the dark wood, which adds contrast, of course, to the light aluminium, and then there is the sleek and simple interface. The splash plate on the back gives the model the original Lamasoko form language, and of course protects any rear wall from coffee stains. The drip tray has the original pattern, which is adapted from Lamasoko and that they are known for. Overall, the design meets the listed persona by giving the possibility of owning a stylish and traditional looking espresso machine with the practicality of a capsule machine. The sleek surface allows for easy cleaning, and the splash plate protects from any coffee stains. This concept is for the person who prefers convenience, but likes the design and association a traditional espresso machine comes with.
Hello, my name is Frederik. My design challenge is regarding the conventional Moccamaster machine, as we all know, redesigning it as an espresso coffee machine. First of all, I want to quickly introduce you to my design brief. First of all, this Moccamaster machine redesign should be able to substitute the regular one. It's permanently placed on the kitchen countertop. Function-wise, it should be easy to operate, practical and familiar to the user group. It should be able to serve multiple cups with ease, just like a regular Moccamaster does. Design-wise, it should look like a Moccamaster. It should be simple, compact, and have this iconic 60s design. I started off my design process with trying some different design possibilities, some different structures, some overall layouts, but I quickly found out by looking at these didn't look remotely like a Moccamaster machine. So this wasn't the way to do it. I opted to figure out what really made up the Moccamaster. Even when comparing it to close competitors, one can see the principal structure is pretty much the same, but the Moccamaster is still very recognizable. They almost all use the same design and materials. So I knew I had to figure out what really defined the Moccamaster and stick with that. By further inspecting the Moccamaster, I tried to locate what the most iconic parts or recognizable parts of it was, and it came down to the bottom construction, the tower and water tank, and the filter compartment. Based on those findings, I tried some different principal structures that would fall within the Moccamaster structure and overall design. From here, I tried to develop a new design language for this redesign. So I did 8 different designs and did some drawing and trying to find out what would be the most fitting. And I ended up with a combination of this one, and this one, as you will see later on. I tried implementing the design on my principal structures and tried to get a better grasp of what concept I should go with. And I decided upon the most complex one, the one in the right lower corner, because it reminds the most of a regular Moccamaster machine, and I found some ways to implement some functionality into these compartments, especially the bottom compartment and the filter compartment, as you will see in a minute. By inspecting a regular Nespresso coffee machine, I mapped all the essential features and what it could do in order to get a grasp of what my coffee machine should be able to do. But the most valuable lesson I learned here is that the capsule is supposed to be located right before the outlet, in very close proximity to the outlet. Then I went on to mapping these features onto my Moccamaster machine. This includes a removable water tank, a removable spill tray, and because the spill tray doesn't have to be that large, I could fit a drawer for capsule storage. We have this filter compartment, which is now used for capsule insertion and using the handle to crack the capsule, and furthermore it's removable to throw out the used capsule. Then I went on to do some more specific considerations. For instance, I tried to consider how should this filter compartment be used, where should the interface be located, where would the optimal placement be, how should the user remove the drawers and the water tank and use the filter compartment, as you will see in a minute, what is the most optimal way to interact with the machine. So based on my principal structure, my chosen design language, and my integration of the functionality, I was able to do a first CAD mockup in SolidWorks. And furthermore, I used cardboard to make it in real life, just to check clearances and get a feel of how big would this machine be and so on. On this picture, you can see the features and the functionality implemented into my design. As I talked about, a removable water tank, which is almost a must, a drawer for capsules, removable drip tray can be removed if one wants to fit a thermal mug underneath. This filter compartment, which will be used for Nespresso capsules, more on that in a minute, and a one-button interface, which can be operated from both sides of the machine. It both turns it on and brews a cup of coffee. A closer look at some of the features. What I really want to focus on here is the Nespresso filter compartment. The user can put in a Nespresso capsule, crack it with the handle, and press brew. Afterwards, the user can rotate the button in order to get a new free spot for a new Nespresso capsule and do the same thing again up to 4 times. A technical look at the model. Things I really want to highlight is, first of all, the water tank has a capacity of 4 medium cups. It's about 2.8 times smaller than the original Moccamaster in volume. It has clearance for most common coffee mugs, and there's room for the pump and heater in the tower, and perhaps if more room is needed, the drawer can be removed or deleted. Finally, I did a rendering in a kitchen environment. This is not true to scale, it's a bit upscaled because it becomes more visible. This design, in regards to the design brief, I think we have accomplished it being able to substitute a conventional Mocha Master in some cases. It's easy to operate, practical and familiar to the user group. It is able to serve 4 cups of coffee in a row very quickly and efficiently. Design-wise, it reminds one of the original Mocha Master, I believe. It's both simple, compact, and carries this iconic 60s design. So I think, in conclusion, I think it manages to fulfill the design brief.